one of the biggest points I want to drive home, because a lot of our listeners are parents, you are part of their success team, this team sport, right? What you bring to the table. So do you want to talk maybe a little bit more about circle of support just for the athlete? I know it's, it's kind of the secret sauce, but just even giving a little taste for people listening in, because I think that it's something that's overlooked a lot when we go to plan for athletes.
Oh, yeah. This is a great conversation. Thank you for this question. I think the biggest thing when you talk about being supported, you also have to be teaching the athlete to be coachable. So there's the first level. Are you in an environment where the athlete can receive the coaching that they need in order to make the changes and feel confident and feel that self-respect so that they can put themselves in the center? What the circle of support is to, for me, my theory is to do the opposite, not the obvious. So I don't put the coach in the center. Even when I'm working with coaches, yes, I can put them in the center when we're talking about their personal lives. But when I'm working with an athlete and putting them in the center, what that means is they have to move themselves from being the outcome-based thinking, results-based athlete to a creator, or to somebody who's going to be committed to their journey so that they know that when they get to the end of their career, they've done it. The other thing I always say is that don't give me credit for your success, because then you also have to give me credit for your failure. And I don't want to be either. I want to do the opposite. I want to make sure that you understand you are in the center of your circle. So at one point back in the day, I was working with a young hockey player named Ryan Smith with the Edmonton Oilers, and he just gotten drafted. And he couldn't figure out how to break into the first line or even to get off the bench at the first part of his career. And I started to watch him train, and I started to watch his energy around the athletes and how he was kind of putting the coaches on a pedestal, the captains on the pedestal. And like he was just minimizing himself. And it wasn't healthy, and it was really, really affecting his self-confidence. So I was the skating coach for the Oilers at the time, and him and I were doing a lot of work together. And he was always looking to me for approval and acknowledgement. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I sucked it up and went up. We were in the press box one day watching a game, and I pulled out a napkin and a Sharpie, and I drew this picture for him. And I said, Ryan, you need to put yourself in the center of this team. Oh, I can't do that. The captains and the this, and I'm not this, and I'm not that, and I'm this, and I'm a rookie. And he had all the reasons. Same thing with figure skaters. You have all the reasons in the world not to win. Oh, and ice dance, you can't because, those top 3 teams haven't retired yet. And, so there's a hierarchy. And so all these stories, and I'm like, I don't care about any of those stories. I said, what about this? What if just for today, you put yourself in the middle? So I drew a picture of a heart. I said, let's call that you. Let's call that you. And let's say you love this game. So that's why I made it a heart. I said, okay, you love this game, right? You love to win. You really want to do what's best. You want to make a great living. You want to have a great family, all these. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I put his initials inside the heart. I said, okay, that's you. You're in the middle. And then I drew a star around it. Really bad star, because I'm not an artist, not like you. It was like a lopsided star. And I go, what if you and this star, and he couldn't handle the word star at the time, so I called it your performer self. What if your performer self isn't you? What if your performance is what you're giving the world to judge? In this case, the scouts, the coaches, the fans, the media. What if you're giving them your performer self, not your innermost secrets and your heart, and you're throwing your heart on skating through the end of the Zamboni doors to show everybody how much you care? That's an external thing that kind of rubs people the wrong way. It's kind of weird. I call that trying too hard guy.
Yes, you do.
I do. So I said, what if we just start to train your performer self? So when we're on the ice together, I'm training your performer. I'm so committed to your performance. I'm so committed to you getting better. But what's going on for you personally, that's about you. That's you and your inner thoughts. And your inner thoughts lead to your inner care about yourself and your commitment to your performance. So I said, who's in your star? And he's like, I don't know. I go, well, first of all, right now, I'm in your star. I'm your skating coach. I'm your performance coach. Right now, in this conversation, I'm in your star. But guess what? When you go home tonight, I'm no longer in your star. I go out to, then I drew a square around the star. And I said, I am part of your support team. You move me out. So there's room for maybe a skills coach or another skating coach or maybe a nutritionist in your star, because your performer star or your performance, your performer self really needs to have people that are committed unconditionally to your success. And when you go home at night or you go to the gym, your trainer's in the star. When you come back to the rink, I'm in your star. So it's a fluid and it's an open system. And I go right when I'm not working with you, I go back, I'm still there. Just like your buddies are still there, like other trainers are still there. But until I'm one-on-one face-to-face with you, I'm no longer in your star. You can let me go. You don't have to take me along. Not like basketball players that take their entire posse and their entire, including their hairstylist and the guy that, shines their shoes, takes them to all the games. It's not that. So then I expanded it one layer further and I drew a circle around it. So there's the heart inside. I said, that's you. Your star, that's your performer self. That's what you're giving the world to judge. Then there's the square. That's that support system, like your agent, like your coaches, like the people that are really committed to your success. And then the circle around that is your teammates, your buddies, the media, the people that are judging you, the fans. That's the circle, the community of our sport that we get to perform to. But they're not all inside here. And that's what happened. And that's how that exercise that's how we birthed that exercise, is that I even realized that many times athletes are carrying their family inside their heart, their kids, their dog, their posse, their entourage, their hairstylist, their best buddy from high school. They're all inside that place. And they're like, I have to please everybody all the time and the judges. And it's too small.
Yeah.
So what if we just put them into a different category and we lovingly let them go into their supporting my performer self. And then when they're not at the competition or at the hockey game or at the tryouts, they go into the square, or maybe they become a fan. So it created a way of shifting the energy off the pressure that so many athletes are carrying around. They carry around with figure skaters. This is one of the first things I do because they carry around everybody,
Everyone,
including the judges. It's
Yeah.
To me, it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not ever going to allow that athlete to know where they stand in it.
Yeah.
There's just too much noise inside of that inner landscape. I love this description. And, I'm going to be putting the video out once I figure out my YouTube. But you'll be able to see Steffany in her beautiful example and how she's, talking with her hands and with so much love around this concept, because at this point now, Ryan Smith, yes, benefited from the birth of it, but now you have given this gift to thousands of athletes. And I want you to know that that's a ripple effect. It affects me. It affects how I coach. It affects how the skaters and coaches I get to be with. And that's exponential times a lot of people now. So I just want to congratulate you on just following that and allowing that to be something that's driven you in your coaching, because it makes a huge difference.
Thank you. Can I actually speak to the parents for a second?
Of course. Of course.
So I said all of that and I didn't mention parents. Did you notice?
I did notice.
So one of the things I've learned over the time, and I've been doing this now since 1994, because that's when Ryan was drafted. So this exercise has evolved. And what I've learned when I started doing how to parent your champion athlete, you remember that? Yes. We did some seminars on how to parent your champion. And one of the things that the parents really had a hard time with, and I was so respectful when this came forward, is that most of them wanted to know where they were in the circle of support, because it's not just figure skating. And right now they're calling certain parents helicopter parents, where they're in the stands and some of them are coming on the ice and they're trying to coach their kids. And they are so committed because they love their kids so much and they want their child to be successful. But what they don't realize is that if they're trying to get in that child's heart, there's no room for that, because they get in the way of the values that the athletes are trying to develop on their own. And in order to develop confidence and the resiliency muscle, I call it, they have to screw up. They have to fall down and get back up again. They can't have parents pulling them out or calling the coach if something's going wrong, or in the stands every day, commenting, making notes, and then in the van on the way home, coaching. So I have a very strong stand. And it came from the circle of support exercise, is that we need the parents. We need you to be a parent. You're the most important person on this team up into a certain age. And then there's a certain age where you have to go from their performer star, because you've been feeding them, housing them, watering them, driving them. You're the team chauffeur, team psychologist, team medical. You're everything. So we get all wrapped up in all those definitions. And then there's the trauma, potentially, of an athlete moving past you. And as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I've been through this 100 times or thousands of times with parents, and I've had to hold their hands out of the star of their child's circle of support and into the square.
Yeah.
And some can't do it because it's either they've been living the dream for their child or an unmet or unfulfilled dream of their own, or they think they know more because they read books, or maybe they had a cup of coffee in the NHL, we call it. And no disrespect, but to honor the parent's role, and for you as a parent to honor your child when it's time. For example, I'll use a hockey example. And if some of the parents have figure skaters and hockey players in their realm or ringette, they have to move away. They get drafted and they end up living with what's called a billet family.
Mm-hmm.
A billet family. I mean, they get vetted. It's very professional, and they move in and they actually become a billet son.
Mm-hmm.
And for many parents, that's it's excruciatingly painful because now somebody else is feeding them, watering them, driving them, maybe working on their sports psychology. They're the ones that are going to meet the girlfriend first, those types of things, or the boyfriend first. It's very difficult, but the more a parent can get into their own circle of support and understand where they are in their own journey, maybe it's time for them to get back in shape or to create a new career or to maybe learn more about something else, because their child is now in a realm where they have to learn from other people, from the community that they put themselves in. And if you've been there and teaching the values of sport and your family values, and you're trusting your child to move into a new home and a new city and play in a new game, then what you've done is you've created the potential for this child to be successful on many, many levels. So if you hear this and you're a parent, just know gently and lovingly, I respect you, and you are the most important part of the team. Because think about it, it's when they're 18, 19, or 25, when they're receiving their medal or their trophy for being Rookie of the Year. Who's the first person they thank?
Always the parent.
It's you. But you have to be able to let them go in order to experience that. And when I had a parent call me afterwards and said, I can't go from his star into the square. I don't trust. I go, you don't trust what? Mm-hmm. And what she got to was, I don't trust myself. Mm. And I said, you don't trust that you embodied and showed and displayed the values and taught him well and surrounded him with me and other people like me and quantum speed and, great nutritionists, great off-ice trainers, great this, great. Oh yeah, I did all that. And I said, you paid a lot of money for that. Yeah. And they're like, yeah. I go, that's an investment you made that you need now create him getting the return on the investment. Your return on that investment may not come for very many years, where you see the success. And when he starts choosing a family, choosing a wife or a husband or a career that has nothing to do with you, but you're so proud. But if you become the barrier from that athlete going from their performer self or their heart space, their performer self, and you don't allow yourself to see that you now become a different resource, an even more important resource, and maybe not quite so expensive because now you're not paying for all the groceries.
Exactly.
You're just, and eventually you start to see your child grow and evolve. And as a parent, my mom always said, I spent 9 months creating you and the rest of my life letting you go. Oh. So I brought that into my coaching.
Thank you, Joyce. Wow. Yeah, this really resonates, Steffany. Sometimes people ask me what my favorite thing is about coaching, or the best moment, the best part.
Yeah.
And it's unequivocally the moment when I'm at a competition with an athlete or an event, any moment when it's their turn. And when I close the gate and they skate away and they don't look back.
Yep.
It's just the best when it's just, I can absolutely step out of it. And I always tell them my goal is to be in the stands with popcorn, enjoying
right.
enjoying them have their moment. It's because that's what this is about, and when we, what is skating success? What is being an Olympian? What is being an NHL star? It's not, to your point, about that medal or about that trophy. It's about that person having found their inner resilience, adversity, ability, and the trusting themselves to win, which is to lead into the what's important now.